Hello, my name is Manav. This is Algebra 1 Honors or Integrated Math 1 Honors, Unit 2A, Lesson 4, writing linear equations given either a point and a slope or two different points. Now, just as a review, these are the different parts of a linear equation. We have y equals mx plus b. Y is the y value of the coordinate that you are using in this scenario. M is the slope, which will stay the same throughout the line because it is linear. X is the x value of the coordinate that we are using in this specific scenario. And b is the y-intercept of this linear function, meaning where the line intersects with the y-axis. And just to review, slope, also known as m, is measured as rise over run, or the change in y over the change in x. Make sure that you strongly understand this concept because this is the strong basis of all of linear equations in Math 1, Algebra 1, all of those foundational math classes that you may have. Now, we already know how to write a linear equation given the graph on a line graphed on a graph, or how to graph a line given the equation. However, you don't know how to write a linear equation when you're given either the slope and 1 point or just 2 points in general. So this video is going to be educating you about how you can use even very minimal or almost ignored information to create an equation that can be used to solve problems later on in the future. So in this video, we will talk about the two methods, which is method A in red and method B in yellow. First, we're going to talk about the given slope and a coordinate point. So we're already given the slope and one coordinate point. And in this scenario, our slope is 6 and our coordinate is 1, 8. And here is why it is important to understand this formula right here. This I don't know how to describe it, this equation builder block, this formula, this thing that you have to follow, and what each portion of it means. If you don't understand what each portion of it means, then there is a low chance that you will be able to understand this at all. Now, we are given the slope is m, and we're given the coordinate. The coordinate is both x and y. So let's move on to read our steps now that we've identified each thing. First is to plug in all of our given numbers. So our given numbers is m, x, and y. Next is to solve for b, which is our missing value. And we just have to rewrite our equation where we only use m and b, and we leave x and y as is. Now, when I say this, you're probably going to be confused, but hopefully I'll explain it better while we go through on the steps. The first step is to plug in all of our given numbers. So we know that m is equal to 6. We know that our coordinate is 1 equals x and 8 equals y. So we can just plug in all of those numbers directly into the equation like I do here. 8 as our y equals 6 as our m, 1 as our x, plus b. So now, we have to solve for b. If you don't remember how to solve for equations, I strongly suggest checking back in the previous unit for that video. But essentially, you're going to want to deal with all the numbers farthest from b first, which happens to be 6 times 1. 6 times 1 is 6. And now you want to get b by itself. So you're going to do the opposite of being positive, which is to add a negative sign to both sides to make sure that this equals 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. 8 minus 6 is 2, leaving us with 2 equals b. Now that we have all four values, where m is equal to 6 and b is equal to 2, we can write our equation using only m and b. This means that we keep y and x, and we replace m with 6 and b with 2. Just a few pointers. X and y is always x and y in every linear equation, if not any function equation. So if the function equation doesn't have y or x, then it's most likely not a function. M and b, however, change for every linear equation. So if you're graphing two different lines, they will rarely ever have the same two numbers if they're different. If they're different lines, they will rarely ever have the same both numbers. So m and b are always going to have different values, but x and y is always just the letters x and y. So these change, and these do not. Because if there is no x and y, it is not a function. So please make sure that you understand that. Now, we can do the same thing when given only two coordinate points. So again, just writing down here, and again, it's important to understand what each of those values mean. Since we are given two coordinate points, we are given 7, 9, and 10, 12. Our steps are to identify our slope given our 2 points. Then we have to identify b using our 1 coordinate and our new slope, and then we just got to rewrite the equation using m and b. So if you don't remember how to find slope using 2 points, please check out my previous video about that where we explain that in detail. But if you remember from our review, it is rise over run, or our change in y over our change in x. So what we do is we line up our 4 points. This is our x's and these are our y's. And we just measure the change from one to the other. 7 plus 3 is 10. 9 plus 3 is 12. Our change in x is 3. Our change in y is also 3. Remember, it is change in y divided by our change in x. 3 divided by 3. Messed that up. 3 divided by 3, which happens to be 1. This makes our slope, or m, equal to 1. So now that we have some information, let's just put that over to the side over here. Now, using the same steps that we did in the previous example, we can use the same exact method to solve for b. One thing to keep in mind is that because it's a coordinate, each one will have an x and a y. And because it's given to us, we can already assume that this coordinate will be a plot on our graph. So if we were to eventually, when we find the equation and we type it into Desmos, our graphing calculator, and then we would see the point 7, 9 on that line. Like it would be solid dot because it would be intersecting that point. So we can use any coordinate we want as our x and y. So in this instance, I'm just going to use 7 and 9. So 7 is our x and 9 is our y. So given these three pieces of information that we wrote down here, we set up our equation replacing each value with its actual number value. So 9 equals mx plus b. 9 equals 1 times 7 plus b. So of course, we're going to deal with all the numbers farthest from b first, which happens to be that. 1 times 7 is 7. We're going to do the opposite of being positive to both sides, which is being negative. We have to make this number 0. So we do 7 minus 7 equals 0, 9 minus 7 equals 2. So 2 is equal to b again. So we remember that m is equal to 1 and b is equal to 2. And now we just have to write our final equation, which is y equals mx plus b, y equals 1x plus 2. Remember, if it does not have x or a y, then it's not a function. And if these two numbers are the same, but you have different lines, then you did something wrong. Now let's go ahead and do some examples. Let's start with this one first. We are given a slope of 5 and 3, 20. So first we're going to identify what we know. So in an equation, we have y equals mx plus b. We have y, m, x, b. Our slope is 5, m is equal to slope, which is also equal to 5. So m is 5. We have a coordinate, and a coordinate is represented by x, y, the same x and y that we have here. So our 3 is x, and our y is 20. And we have to find b. So we're just going to set these numbers up in this format. So 20 equals 5 times 3 plus b. And we're going to deal with the numbers farthest from b first. 5 times 3, which is 15, plus b equals 20. We're going to do the opposite of being positive, which is being negative, to both sides of the equation. 20 minus 15 is 5, 15 minus 15 is 0, and that leaves us with just b. So b equals 5. Now that we're given m is equal to 5 and b is equal to 5 as well, we can write our equation using y and x. So y equals 5x plus b. And there you go. So now if you plug this number into the equation, you're going to get a true answer. 3 times 5 is 15, 15 plus 5 is 20. Let's say we are trying to find a coordinate 2, question mark. We don't know what question mark is. Well, 5 times 2, because that's x, y is our question mark. 5 times 2 is 10, 10 plus 5 is 15, y is 15. So the coordinate is 2, 15. Look at that. Now let's move on to this example, where we have two coordinates. Remember, to find the difference between two coordinates, it's going to be our change in y divided by our change in x. So we got 7 and 12. We got 3 and 4. 7 plus 12, or no, 7. 7 plus a number is 12. That number is 5. And 3 plus a number is 4. That number is 1. So our change in y is equal to 5. Our change in 1 is equal to 1. No, our change in x is equal to 1. This makes our slope 5 over 1, which can be simplified to 5. So m still equals 5. Now, let's use one of our points. We're going to use 3, 7, and we're going to continue to solve for b. Remember, y equals mx plus b, where y can be this, m is that, and x can be this. So let's just rewrite as this format. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, at a glance, this might get you a little bit confused, but just work with me here. Now remember, 5 times 3 is 15, because we are dealing with the numbers farthest away from b. 15 equals 7 plus b. If this has already not confusing you, then that's okay, but if this hasn't confused you, then you are in a good place. At first glance, you can't think 15 plus a number can't equal 7. So that should automatically strike a bulb in your head that b cannot be positive. Remember, b is a number by itself. So this addition doesn't mean that the b is positive. The b can be negative. It can be a negative number. And remember, when a negative number is added to something, it's essentially just that number subtracted by that negative number being added to something. So b can be negative. Just because there's an addition sign there doesn't mean that b is not allowed to be a negative number, which is this situation here. Remember, we're dealing with all things away from b. The opposite of being positive is negative. We're going to subtract 15 because we need to make the 0 from both sides. 7 minus 15 is negative 8. So this leaves us with negative 8 equaling to b. Just because there's a plus sign here doesn't force b to be a positive number. B can be negative as in this situation. So when we rewrite our equation using m and b and keeping y and x the same, we have y equals 5x minus 8. You could also write y equals 5x plus negative 8, but in math you try to be coefficient, and essentially this plus sign isn't needed. So you can just write 5x minus 8. This is still available in Desmos. If you type this in Desmos, it will still work. But it's just safe to say that this means the same thing, but not many people allow that. So your answer for this is y equals 5x minus 8. Hopefully this video was extremely informative. If you've been enjoying, please feel free to give this video a like and promote it to some other people who are looking to learn more about math. Thank you so much for sticking around. This was Unit 2A, Lesson 4 of Algebra 1 Honors or Integrated Math 1 Honors, writing linear equations given either a point and a slope or 2 coordinate points. Thank you.